Hi, my name is Michaela Prosser, and Lauren and I are going to be talking about how to teach gifted students. So to start off with, what are gifted students? So those are students who demonstrate high achievement in intellectual, creative, or leadership areas and need services not ordinarily found in a classroom. So in the terms that we most see for gifted are talented, accelerated learner, high aptitude ability. They're pretty much used interchangeably, but more educators are trying to push away from the term gifted because it implies that the student has been given their status when in reality they have earned it. So how are we identifying gifted children in the United States? So the most common method is intelligence testing. So this looks like kind of like a basic IQ test but more schools are pushing for multiple methods such as parent, teacher, and peer nominations. So we talked about in class that the negative effects of just having one perspective, like just having a parent, just having a test score, like that kind of thing. So more school districts are trying to have a combination of these to really get well-rounded students who are in need of different services and have different needs. Also, a student's portfolio, classroom engagement, and test scores can be additional factors. So if a student is continuously going above and beyond in the class, a challenge might be needed that other services would offer. What kind of services are offered for gifted children? Well, there's quite a few, but let's start out with the pull-out program, which is one that I saw in my own school district where gifted children are pulled out of the classroom. It can be anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes a day. It could be seen as kind of like an after-school activity, but pulled out of the classroom to do more specialized material or to do something that like interests them, like a child interested in engineering. This would be kind of like their space to explore it during regular class time instruction. Then we have differentiated instruction. So kind of like we've talked about with having our learning objective, maybe having our gifted students go a little bit deeper into the meaning instead of finding 1 to 2 areas of conflict, finding 3 to 5, just giving them more of a challenge. Moving on to the cluster grouping, that's seen as grouping gifted children together because they have shared interest and that they're on similar academic and creative levels. Then we have after-school activities, and that could be kind of like a kind of similar to the pull-out program, but it does allow for more creativity, such as robotics, engineering, ecology, chess clubs. Then we have acceleration. It kind of ties back into that differentiated instruction. It can be in material. They could be material, grade level, and overall instruction. So you might have a second grader reading at a fourth or fifth grade level. So instead of giving them second grade material, you give them that higher material that's more on their level. And then we have advanced placement. We see this more in secondary education with quite a few of us here, I bet, have taken dual credit classes. But in elementary schools, it could be having a advanced placement for like science or math. And then just that it can also count for college credit at that secondary level. And then back to elementary, there's early admission, which skips over pre-K and goes straight into kindergarten.
So what are some indicators that you can look for when you think you have a gifted student in your class? So there's actually many defined traits and actions that you may see within your classroom. And of course, these are not just all of them. These are just a few. So some that you may see within the classroom is that they have a very big vocabulary. They've been exposed to a lot of words and they are very curious. They love to work by themselves. They know what goals they have. They have started reading at a very early age. So that may be pre-K or younger. They also are very curious. They will ask a lot of questions and want to know all the things that incorporate what you're talking about. Just some negative indicators that may end up giving problems to these gifted students is that they can easily get off topic or off task just because they are easily bored and they do not like the content or they already know it. Another one is they do not usually work well with others because they do not have patience and they get very critical of others and themselves. So they get really down, they're really perfectionist, and they get really upset about those. So there are certain needs that gifted children have to have, so that whether that's social, emotional, or cognitive needs, some children have unique needs that need to be met in order to continue their academic success. So they have issues with interpersonal relationships with their peers, so that's something that you have to teach and make sure that they understand that their peers want to be around them. You also need to do verbal communication, which helps them understand what you're saying because a lot of the time their brain is somewhere else. Just some emotional needs that you have to cover is self-esteem, perfectionism, anxiety, and attention. A lot of these gifted students have very low self-esteem issues because they have so much stress and anxiety put on them because they want everything to be perfect, and they really just want attention from the teacher and from their parents so they can get that gratification that they need. And just some cognitive/learning needs is that they have to have challenging work and have to be goal-oriented. Some challenges that gifted students experience in elementary school, and I chose the second grade and the subject area as reading level. So some social challenges, they have problems with reading with other peers, so they may have issues just reading or being in a group where you have to do popcorn reading that may not work well for them. They end up having a lot of problems with others. They get into fights because they don't have the patience for them. So that goes into my last one. They have a very hard time being patient, so they get easily frustrated with someone who may not understand the reading or may have to go over the reading again. So emotional challenges will, of course, be self-esteem because they feel that they have to be the best out of all the other students, so they may read all the chapters in the book when all the students have only read 2. And another emotional one could be anger. They get very angry very quickly because of the frustration that other students are slower than them. Some cognitive challenges is that they do tend to have organizational issues, so they may lose those reading assignments, they may forget what page they're on, they can get easily off topic, so they may just talk about something else, not about the book or what about your reading. And just some physical challenges that they may experience burnout because they put in so much effort in everything that they do and they go, and then they just don't want to go anymore. And also there could be an inappropriate environment. For example, if a student reads at a second grade level, but they're placed in a fifth grade classroom because their reading level is so high, that may not always be appropriate for them because they may talk about different things that a second grader should not know about.
So for our section on how to support gifted learners, Lauren and I wanted to pick our grade level as second grade and our subject area as writing. And then I want to specifically give tips on how to help and keep gifted students from avoiding burnout, keep them on track, and keep them genuinely interested in what's going on in the classroom during a writing unit. So if we were giving the students to write a paper, write a paragraph, that kind of thing, I would want my gifted students to kind of go deeper into the writing, whether with their meaning or by having more details, metaphors, and other literacy tools. These students are above grade level in their reading and writing comprehension. They could even be multiple grade levels above. So I think this offers them a challenge by saying, hey, I know the rest of the class is doing 1 to 2 details in their writing, but I want to see 3 to 5 from you. Nothing crazy because we do, once again, want to avoid that burnout, but something that's more on their level. And then by having metaphors and other literacy tools, we're teaching the students since they are above grade level, we might be teaching them like 4th grade literacy standards just to get them prepared for that grade level and just to, to facilitate their academic growth. Next, I want to talk about the topic choice that you should allow your gifted students to choose within the standard. So if you're supposed to be writing in second grade about a specific plant, maybe have your gifted students choose what plant or give them a couple to choose from. This allows them to have their interests met, allow them to feel passionate, and keep them on track. Sometimes with our gifted students, we see behaviors come out of boredom. So by allowing them to have some choice, it can really help to facilitate that. And then have accelerated learners assist the class through peer edits, brainstorming groups, etc. You don't want to have your gifted students be like mini teachers, but by pairing up a student who's a strong reader and one who's maybe a little bit lower can be very helpful for your classroom. And then these students are usually highly creative, so by pairing them up for brainstorming groups, or if you have a student who has trouble coming up with ideas or starting tasks, pairing them up with a gifted student would be a great idea.